Imagine meeting someone who feels like your absolute soulmate from day one. They shower you with compliments, send you beautiful texts every hour, and buy you gifts for no reason. They tell you that they have never met anyone as amazing as you, and that you are the best thing that ever happened to them. It feels incredible, like you are living inside a perfect Hollywood romantic movie. But what if this perfect romance is actually a calculated psychological trap? This intense, overwhelming flood of affection is a psychological manipulation tactic known as love bombing. Love bombing is not about love, it is about control, validation, and emotional dependency. Narcissists and sociopaths use this strategy to break down your emotional defenses as quickly as possible. In this first part, we are going to expose exactly how love bombing works and why your brain falls for it so easily. When a love bomber targets you, they start by collecting information about your deepest insecurities and desires. They listen intently to your past heartbreaks, your fears, and what you feel you lack in life. Once they know what you are missing, they transform themselves into the exact person you have always wanted. If you felt lonely in the past, they will suddenly become your constant, available companion. If you felt unappreciated in previous relationships, they will praise every single thing you do. This creates a powerful psychological illusion called mirroring, where you feel you have found a perfect match. Your brain responds to this intense validation by releasing a massive flood of dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine is the chemical responsible for pleasure and reward, making this new relationship feel like a powerful drug. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone, which makes you feel deeply connected and safe with this person in a very short time. Because your brain is literally intoxicated by these chemicals, your logical thinking and judgment become clouded. You start to ignore the small warning signs, or red flags, because the pleasure of their attention is too high. The love bomber intentionally speeds up the timeline of the relationship to catch you off guard. They will talk about moving in together, getting married, or traveling the world within just a few weeks of meeting. This rapid pacing is designed to overwhelm your critical thinking so you do not stop to question their motives. They want to secure your commitment before their true manipulative personality begins to show. Another major psychological element of love bombing is the creation of artificial intimacy. They will share deep, emotional, and often fabricated secrets with you very early on to make you feel special. By sharing a secret, they trick you into believing that there is a rare, unbreakable bond between you two. Naturally, you feel compelled to share your own secrets in return, which gives them more leverage over you. During this initial phase, the love bomber places you on a very high, unstable pedestal. They tell you that you are flawless, perfect, and completely different from everyone else in their past. While this feels amazing to your self-esteem, it is actually a dangerous setup for the next phase. By making you believe you are perfect, they create an unspoken rule that you must always keep them happy. You subconsciously begin to modify your behavior, just to maintain this high level of praise and affection. This is the exact moment where the trap snaps shut, and you become completely dependent on their approval. You stop spending time with your friends and family, because the love bomber demands all of your attention. They might say they just miss you too much, but the real goal is to isolate you from your support system. Once you are isolated, you lose the outside perspectives that could warn you about what is actually happening. Your entire sense of happiness, reality, and self-worth becomes tied directly to this one single person. The love bomber has successfully conditioned your brain to crave their validation like a literal addiction. And just when you feel completely secure and deeply in love, the dynamic suddenly begins to shift. The endless compliments start to slow down, the texts become shorter, and the warmth begins to fade. You are left confused, anxious, and desperate to get back that perfect person you met on day one. But the truth is, that perfect person never actually existed. It was just a beautifully crafted mask. But the love bomber has completely trapped you in their web. The second phase begins. This phase is marked by sudden withdrawal, confusion, and intense psychological manipulation. The unconditional praise and affection you received in the beginning suddenly vanish without any clear reason. Your phone, which used to buzz with sweet messages every few minutes, now remains completely silent for hours. When they do reply, their tone is cold, distant, short, and completely indifferent to your feelings. This sudden shift shocks your brain, which is still craving the high levels of dopamine you became addicted to. You begin to panic, wondering what you did wrong to change their perfect attitude toward you. This is exactly what the love bomber wants, because your confusion gives them total psychological power. They transition from the love bombing phase directly into the devaluation phase of the relationship. Instead of placing you on a pedestal, They begin to subtly criticize your appearance, your job, and your personality. They might make passive-aggressive comments disguised as jokes, or compare you unfavorably to other people. If you question their change in behavior, they will turn the blame entirely back onto you. They will claim that you are being too needy, too insecure, or that you are simply imagining things. This specific tactic is called gaslighting, and its goal is to make you doubt your own sanity and reality. You start to second-guess your memories, your feelings, and your basic judgment about the relationship. The love bomber intentionally creates a state of cognitive dissonance inside your mind. Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort you feel when holding two completely contradictory beliefs. You are forced to reconcile the memory of the sweet, perfect soulmate with the harsh reality of the cruel manipulator. Because the initial love bombing was so intense, you choose to believe the illusion instead of the painful truth. You convince yourself that the kind person is their true self, and the mean person is just having a bad day. This belief drives you to work twice as hard to please them, just to bring back the person from the first week. You begin walking on eggshells, constantly modifying your words and behavior to avoid upsetting them. The love bomber watches you struggle and uses intermittent reinforcement to keep you hooked on the line. Intermittent reinforcement means they give you small, unpredictable rewards of affection separated by long periods of cruelty. One day they will treat you like royalty again, giving you a tiny glimpse of the old love bombing phase. This sudden reward floods your brain with dopamine again, reinforcing your hope that things will go back to normal. But the very next day, they return to being cold, distant, and deeply critical of everything you do. Psychologists have proven that unpredictable rewards are far more addictive than consistent, predictable rewards. This creates a powerful trauma bond, which is an emotional attachment caused by a cycle of abuse and validation. A trauma bond is incredibly difficult to break because it operates on the exact same brain pathways as a drug addiction. You are no longer staying in the relationship out of genuine love. You are staying out of a desperate need for relief. The love bomber uses this bond to systematically strip away your remaining self-esteem and independence. They will demand access to your phone, question your loyalty, and make you feel guilty for having a life outside of them. If you try to set healthy boundaries, they will punish you with the silent treatment for days at a time. The silent treatment is a form of emotional abuse designed to make you feel completely rejected, abandoned, and worthless. During these periods of silence, your anxiety spikes, and you become willing to apologize for things you did not even do. You become completely subservient, sacrificing your own needs, your values, and your identity just to keep the peace. The confident, independent person you were before meeting them has completely disappeared. You look in the mirror and realize you are just a shell of your former self, living entirely for their approval. And just when you think you cannot take the pain anymore, the love bomber prepares for the final, most brutal move. Once the love bomber has completely drained your emotional energy and self-esteem, the final phase begins. This phase is known as the discard, and it happens when you are no longer useful to them. Because you are now anxious, exhausted, and constantly seeking validation, you no longer provide the high they crave. They view you as broken, boring, or too difficult, completely forgetting that they are the ones who broke you. The discard is usually sudden, incredibly cold, and executed with a total lack of empathy or closure. They might break up with you over a single text message, block you on all social media, or simply vanish overnight. In many cases, they have already found a new target and will immediately start love bombing them just like they did to you. Seeing them move on so quickly crushes your spirit, making you feel like your entire relationship was a lie. Your brain experiences literal withdrawal symptoms, causing severe anxiety, deep depression, and obsessive thoughts. You find yourself replay every conversation in your head, desperately trying to understand how things went so wrong. To heal from this trauma, you must first understand the twisted psychology of the person who targeted you. True love bombers, often individuals with narcissistic personality disorder, do not possess a stable sense of self-worth. They look for external validation, which psychologists call narcissistic supply, to fill an empty void inside their soul. You were never viewed as a real human being with feelings. You were just a source of this emotional supply. Once they extracted all the admiration and control they wanted from you, they threw you away like an empty container. Accepting this harsh truth is incredibly painful, but it is the absolute foundation of your emotional recovery. You must realize that the discard was not a reflection of your worth, your beauty, or your value as a person. It was simply the inevitable conclusion of a highly toxic and predictable psychological cycle. The first step to breaking the trauma bond and reclaiming your life is executing the strict rule of no contact. No contact means blocking their phone number, deleting them from social media, and cutting off all mutual connections. You cannot check their profile, look at old photos, or ask mutual friends how they are doing. Every single glimpse of their new life acts like a dose of the drug, resetting your brain's recovery clock back to zero. In the beginning, the silence will feel incredibly uncomfortable, and the urge to reach out will be overwhelming. But you must allow your brain chemistry to stabilize and flush out the toxic dopamine cycles they created. The love bomber may even try to return later through a manipulation tactic known as hoovering. Just like a vacuum cleaner, they will try to suck you back into the relationship when their new source of supply fails. They will send a casual text, apologize falsely, or claim they cannot stop thinking about the beautiful times you shared. Do not fall for this trap, because if you let them back in, the cycle of abuse will repeat, and it will be much worse. Use this time instead to redirect all that intense focus and love back toward yourself. Reconnect with the friends and family members you were forced to isolate yourself from during the relationship. Revisit the hobbies, passions, and goals that you abandoned just to keep the love bomber happy. Understand that your empathy, your kindness, and your capacity to love deeply are beautiful traits. The love bomber targeted you precisely because you possess those wonderful qualities, not because you are weak. They wanted to absorb your light, but they can only succeed if you let them keep controlling your mind. Educate yourself on emotional boundaries so you can recognize the warning signs of love bombing in the future. Healthy love builds slowly over time through consistency, respect, open communication, and shared values. It does not demand your isolation, it does not rush your timeline, and it never makes you feel unsafe. By recognizing the psychology behind love bombing, you transform yourself from a helpless victim into a highly educated survivor. You take back your power, close the door on the past, and open up space for genuine, healthy love to enter your life. If this video helped you recognize the signs of love bombing, or if you have survived a relationship like this, I want to hear your story. Leave a comment down below sharing your experience. Your story could be the exact thing someone else needs to read to realize they are not alone. Do not forget to hit the like button if you found this breakdown helpful, because it really helps the channel grow and reach more people who might be trapped in this cycle right now. And if you want to keep learning about human psychology, recognizing toxic behavior, and taking back your power, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thank you so much for watching, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.